What's up, fellow polymaths? In this video, the Java Fundamentals tutorial, we'll be going over access modifier types. Modifier types are keywords that you add to those definitions to change the meanings. For example, you can change how a method or a class is accessed by other classes. You can change how a class or method is accessed by objects, for example. So there are access modifiers and non-access modifiers. Access modifiers control the level of access. So when you think of access modifiers, you can think of like public, private, protected. Non-access modifiers don't control the access level, but they provide other functionalities. So non-access modifiers are things like a final keyword, where basically any value that's any variable that's marked as final can't have that variable's value be changed by the code. The access modifier comes at the beginning of declaring any class, constructor, method, or variable. So here we have a syntax, which is an access modifier first, and then the class keyword, and then the name of the class. And then we have here our variable name. So access modifier, data type, variable name. And then we have our access modifier, return type, and method name. So for an access modifier, it's not required to have it, but it's definitely a good practice to have it. So there are 4 access modifiers. The default access modifier is visible to the package. So basically this is where you don't have to put any keyword. So you just leave it as it is. So no modifiers are needed. No modifier keyword is needed. So the private access modifier is only visible to the class. So that means, for example, if a variable is marked as private, that variable can only be accessed by that class that is within that variable, and no other class outside of that variable can access that private variable, only through other means, such as, for example, accessors and mutators, which are also called getters and setters, but that's for another topic. Public modifier, which you've seen before, is basically visible to all the packages, and the protected access modifier is only visible to the package and all other of the subclasses within that protected modifier. So as far as general coding goes, the most that you'll be seeing, you'll be coming across are the public access modifiers and the private access modifiers. Occasionally you'll come across protected modifiers and even default modifiers as well, but mostly it's going to be public and private, with some protected access modifiers thrown in as well. So examples of non-access modifiers are the static modifier. Static is basically used when creating a class, methods, and variables. Static is basically used when, for example, if you don't want to initialize an object to utilize its method, instead you can just call the method by utilizing the name of the class. Final modifier is used for finalizing the implementations of classes, methods, and variables. So basically anything marked as final can't be changed. The abstract modifier is used for creating abstract classes and methods. And we'll be learning about the abstract modifier later, future tutorials. And then there are other keywords which are synchronized and volatile, and these are mainly used for threads. When a class has the final keyword, the class can be inherited by other classes. So remember, the final basically means that the value can be changed. So in this case, this also applies to classes when they try to inherit from other classes. Abstract classes can be used to create objects. So the abstract class requires that the class be inherited by another class. So just having more detail on the final keyword is useful when you want a variable to always store value that you know is not going to change. So like we have the e, the math e, pi, and so on, and it could contain any type of value as well. Basically any value that you know will continue to stay the same, and it's not going to be different from what it was initially defined as. So here I'll show you a quick example of what I mean when the final variable cannot be changed. So we'll name a simple variable. Let's make it an integer. Just call this variable final. I know, very creative. Let's make that equal to 5. Now let's change the variable to 7. So now we're getting an error here. So this error is saying that the final variable can't be assigned. It must be blank and not use a compound assignment. So here it's suggesting that we remove the final modifier for variable final. So if we do that, So now we're not getting any errors anymore. So that's what I mean by final variables cannot be changed. They basically stay the same. They're constants. I'll show you an example of how the static keyword works and the difference it has with the initializing an object. So I'll just use a similar method that I used in the previous tutorial. So in the previous tutorial, the way that we accessed this method before was that we initialize the object of the main class. But since this keyword is static, another way to do it is to call the main class and then dot and then do something. And then if we run this, we see it says that the main class did something. Static keyword allows you to be able to call methods without initializing an object. We have this class named animal, and I want to show you how private is used. So first we'll just create a couple variables that are private. So these variables are private, so they're only accessible by this animal class. But if we wanted to access them in another class, which this main class.java, we're going to have to use what are called getters and setters. And getters and setters we'll be discussing in a future tutorial. So here's our assignment for this topic. Number 1, what are the 4 types of access modifiers? Number 2, what is the name of the access modifier that doesn't require a keyword? Number 3, what is the name of the access modifier that can be seen by all of the classes across different packages? Number 4, create a private method in a class and try calling that method in another class. What happens? Number 5, do the same as above, but this time make the access modifier of the method as public. What happens? If this video was any value to you, then please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.